Hello, everyone. Welcome, 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 wherever you are. Please let us know where you're watching from. Put it in the description. And if you're watching on Instagram, I will have to look there for questions once in a while. Welcome to the Kiltz Health live stream with Dr. Nelson. I am your host, Dr. Nelson. And today we're joined by a man who has spent the last 6 years meticulously refining his nutrition, moving from keto to finally a strict carnivore lifestyle. He's a published author, a dedicated educator, and a powerful voice in the carnivore community. He's here to share how he reversed his atrial fibrillation, cleared his OCD, and why his latest research into plant toxins is a game changer for anyone seeking peak health. Please welcome John Laspina, otherwise known as the Carnivore Teacher Alpha. And how are you doing today, John?
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. It's great to see you again. I'm doing fine. I'm doing really well.
You know where I didn't see you though, because we were just last Friday somewhat close to you, and you didn't come.
Where were you?
In Melbourne. We had a
Oh, you did the Melbourne meetup again. Yeah, I couldn't make that one.
yeah.
But I saw you at the last one in Melbourne. Yeah.
So
was it a good time? Did you have a big turnout?
Yes, we had 19 people.
Oh, good.
And we had even some come from out of state. It was pretty good. And we had Rick. He had not been there before.
Oh, Rick got up there. Fantastic.
Rick got up there. He made it to Peter's area and then came up with Peter, Papa Carnivore.
Great. Yeah.
And then he took him back to Miami. So we had a good time. And
good.
I think Mitch went live from our meal there.
Oh, really? That would have been fun. Did he film the whole like a big chunk of it, or
a big chunk of it? He did. Basically, I don't know. I'm sure it's there because
I have to go find that.
Recorded,
Oh wow!
But it's in mid channel, and basically you see most of the time you're just watching us eat and talk.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with this. First, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us your brief carnivore story. Before I do that, I gotta say that I am Dr. Kiltz and I are going to be in a couple of places over the course of the next month. And I just wanted to remind everyone, April 6th, this is being put off, hosted by Susie Boshoff and Dr. Varia, Dr. Boss, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Nelson will be there. It's in St. Petersburg, and it's the cholesterol code film screening. Go to KiltzMeetup.com, and you can find your way to the information on this meetup. And if you want to go, you can spend some time with us. The VIP tickets include a meal at Ruth Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to watch the movie and have a Q&A. On April 11th, we'll be in Long Island. Dr. Kiltz and I will be both there. This is going to be a meal at Fogo de Chao. All the information is at KiltzMeetup.com. April 12th, with Luis Lotito and me, we'll be watching a Mets game and having dinner at a Korean barbecue place. And you're welcome to find the information. Obviously, it is actually right there. What this information is not showing is that the price includes a steak a day T-shirt. There's shirt that says steak a day keeps the doctor away. Doesn't work for me because I'm only always walking around with my doctor. But and then we're showing the cholesterol code again, this time in Orlando. It's going to be in the Altamont area, but if you know Florida, Altamont Springs is Orlando. Mm-hmm. And we'll be doing that on April 22nd. So you're welcome to come to any of those or all of those and join us. Right after that, the following weekend, we'll be at Meatstock, May 1st through the 3rd. And you can also find information at KiltzMeetup.com. I just don't have it here because it would look too crowded. So let me take this down. All right. So before we get into oxalates and toxins, on your personal story, give us a brief summary of what made you end up eating only meat.
Okay. I'll try to keep it brief. I've told this story many times. Sometimes it goes too long. All right. I'm 60 and a half years old right now. And in my 30s, going into my 40s, the weight was coming on like many people. I couldn't lose the weight as easily through exercise, but I did a lot of diets. And the diets worked, and then they stopped working because I went off of them, and gained the weight and always a little bit more. And then when I was about 52, 53 years old, keto. I heard about this new thing. I don't think it was new, but to me, it was new. Let me try this one and see if I can take off some weight. Now, I also had AFib and I had OCD and other things, but I wasn't thinking about those things because I figured those are problems I'm always going to have. I want to lose the weight. And I noticed that many people come to low carb or carnivore through the weight loss journey. That's one of the main reasons. And that was mine. So I took out the bread and the pasta and the rice and the potatoes and the sugar. I was a sugar junkie. And I noticed within a couple of weeks that I lost a lot of weight. I'm like, this is pretty amazing. Then I followed some more YouTube videos, went down the rabbit hole that everybody talks about. You go down. One YouTube influencer led to another one, which led to another one. And I learned about seed oils. And I'm like, oh, I can't just do low carb. I need to take out this toxin. I learned all about how bad seed oils are. And we talked about that in a previous interview. And I kind of refined it a little bit more. So I lost what I needed to lose. And I went way down about 35 pounds and just looked in the mirror and thought, this is like nothing I've ever tried before. This is amazing. In the process of replacing my clothes twice, the negative side effect to losing weight, you have to go and spend money because everything was baggy. I realized that, my lower back doesn't hurt anymore. I had this constant lower back pain that I thought, I didn't know what the problem was. I had it x-rayed, I had all these things, and nobody knew what was wrong. I find out later it was inappropriate inflammation from the standard American diet, from all the seed oils and all the carbs and sugar. I haven't had lower back issues in the longest time now because I eat the proper human diet. Then I noticed my athlete's foot, it's not there anymore. Like, whoa. I noticed I don't sunburn anymore. I mean, I don't stay out in the sun forever, but I can stay out really long and I go right to brown. And I also suffered from paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, where the atrium, the top part of the heart, beats out of sync with the bottom part, the ventricle. And it's a horrible feeling. It's a terrible feeling. You walk across the room and you're out of breath. You feel like you're having a heart attack and you feel your pulse and it's racing. My heart would go up to 160 beats per minute, then it would go down to 70, and then back up to 150 and down to 80. It scared the heck out of me. Went to the doctor. I was put on medicine, two medicines, one that would put me back in sinus rhythm and one that would keep me there, with a laundry list of side effects, which I felt some of them and I didn't like it. But then when I went low carb and keto, I learned that maybe I don't need to be on these pills. So I weaned myself off of them. My cardiologist did not want me to do that. So when I speak to my audience here who's listening to me, this is what I'm doing. I am not giving you advice on what to do. I very slowly took myself off of the two medicines. One was metoprolol, and one was, I can't remember the name of it, but it kept me in sinus rhythm. And I noticed I didn't go into AFib. Like, this is interesting. I don't need these drugs anymore. Every once in a while, I would pop into AFib for 10 minutes, and then it would go back out, and I would be back in sinus rhythm. So this is years now, and I haven't been in AFib anymore. So maybe this is healing the chambers in my heart, whatever was causing the misfiring signals. I think the carnivore diet, eating properly, has healed my heart issue. I'm just thrilled to death. When I talked about OCD, my obsessive compulsive disorder, I used to fixate on thoughts and things, and I couldn't let them go. And they would consume my mind sometimes, and I'd have to fight myself, almost like a recurring song that you can't get out of your head. And then I would also bite my nails and my cuticles. I could not stop. I just could not stop no matter what I did. I noticed, without even trying, as the weeks went on of doing, first I started with keto, low carb, the urge to do this stopped. I don't do that anymore. And I also noticed the thoughts are gone. The obsessivity, that's not a word. The obsessive thoughts, just, they're not there anymore. And then I also noticed that my mood, I used to get depressed pretty often, not suicidal, but really low. And I would fixate on the negative things in my life. And it was very hard to pull myself out of it. That's gone. I've never been happier. This is the most amazing mental health boost in the world, to feed your brain proper fatty acids and ketones. I've never been happier. And I'm a retired middle school teacher. I taught for 34 years. I've never been more focused. I've never had more energy and focus, to the point I'm writing books now and articles and making YouTube videos trying to teach people about the carnivore way of eating. So I have so much to share. I have so much passion and love. And I'm just amazed at how this has helped not only myself, but all the stories I hear on Casey Ruff and Dave Mack and all the other people who interview other people. Thousands and thousands of people are healing themselves from the inside out just by finding the right nutrition, which is the carnivore diet. Some people go ketovore and they're okay too. So when we get to it, I want to talk about how some plants, people can eat some plants and they don't seem to have effects. Other people have serious effects if they eat plants. So I wrote a book about plant toxins, which is one of the ones I want to share today. I think I'll stop there. I could just go on and on for the next 2 hours if you want, Dr. Nelson, but I don't think we have the time.
We can be here as long as you want. It's just, we're trying to keep it under 60 minutes.
I got to stop somewhere.
YouTube translates our videos to multiple languages as long as we don't go over 60 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So before the 60 minutes, I don't know if you see a clock. I do see a clock over here.
I see a clock. Yeah.
Anyways, so I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
One is a comment. I am glad you mentioned inappropriate inflammation, because inflammation is part of our body's defense system, and it's there for a reason.
Right.
If you have a scratch and you get an infection, there's going to be inflammation, so your body can start the process of healing. So when we have injuries, we get inflammation. So how is inflammation a cause of many diseases? Well, we are injuring our body in too many ways, and most of them are not that obvious. We'll get to that when we talk about the plant toxins. But yes, inflammation gone awry basically is bad. But it's part of the body's defense system against infections, trying to correct injuries and all that, and relating to atherosclerosis, coronary heart disease, for example. We are frequently, the first step is injuring the glycocalyx, which is in the inside. Well, it all around us in the cells of our body, but it's covering the inside of the arteries, and your glucose being too high, your insulin being too high, injure that, among other things. Anyways, and I just wanted to make a comment for those that missed it. He did a pretty good job in explaining. Paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, basically, the word paroxysmal really means it comes and goes. I mean, that's a simple explanation. Happens sometimes and then it goes away. When it's constant, we call it chronic, and we call it acute when you've never had it before, all of a sudden starts, right? And the atrial fibrillation means that the top of the heart starts sending too many signals, and the bottom of the heart doesn't get all the signals, just some of them, but it can be enough to have you have a heart rate of 140, 180 to over 200 sometimes, which is not good, right? If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will get to them as soon as I can. If I miss any of the questions, then please put it again. Now, we've had many people saying hello to you and me here. I try to show them on the screen. But tell us now, you wrote a book.
Mm-hmm.
The book is called Beyond Oxalates, The Complete Guide to Plant Toxins.
Mm-hmm.
And it has another, subtitle there. Let me bring it up and try to show it here. But go ahead and start telling us about, in general, the content on this book.
Sure. This is my third book in this series. My first book is just called The Carnivore Teacher, where I had to get my thoughts out, kind of like the story I told you, and how the carnivore diet can be the proper human diet. The second book I wrote was called Processed to Death, and I go into depth about all of the ultra-processed foods that we find in the world, in our grocery stores, and what they're doing to the human body, slowly poisoning us over time, and all the ailments and diseases that people are getting from all of that ultra-processed factory chemicals. And then I had to write this one. This one's not like a fast read. It's more of a reference book. And it's about all the plant toxins. So you can go look at the table of contents and find which plant toxin you're interested in reading. If you just want to just read part of the book, let's say you just want to read about oxalates, which is part of the title, you can read the whole chapter on oxalates, what they are, what foods contain oxalates in high, moderate, and low levels, what the science says about it, what it does to the parts of the body, why the plant makes it. Or you can go to a different chapter, and if you want to learn about lectins or phytates, it's a chapter dedicated to each plant toxin, and there's a ton of them. There's phytates and oxalates and lectins. There's tannins. There's protease inhibitors, goitrogens, saponins, alkaloids. I could go on. There's a long list. You mentioned one of them. I think you mentioned, which one did you mention? I forget, but you mentioned one as well that affects the heart. And these are found in plants, and they're not found in animal products at all. And there are a few chapters that explain why they're there. And then there's a few chapters explaining what we can do about it. There's a chapter that talks about soaking and boiling and steaming and ways that our ancestors in the past minimized the toxins over time, but how that kind of doesn't work 100%. And then there's a chapter at the end talking about carnivore, because that is the way that we can avoid these plant toxins. And I do want to say one thing here, because I don't want to sound dogmatic or like a zealot, because humans have eaten, we have eaten plants for a long time, but not as our main food. It was a fallback food. When we didn't have anything else to eat, we went to some plant food because that's all we had. It was never our staple. Our staple gives us protein. It gives us fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. We get that from animal products. Bioavailability for the iron and the vitamins and the minerals is almost 100%. And then that's another topic we could talk about, how the bioavailability, the fact that we don't even absorb much of the nutrition from plants because the plants, either the fiber or the anti-nutrients, the toxins, block the absorption into the human body. So we're not getting what we think we're getting nutritionally when we eat a lot of these plants. So I wanted
absolutely correct.
Yeah, I wanted to make this book as a reference book. So you can go to the table of contents and find the part that you'd like to read. And you could skip all around the book if you want. You don't have to read it in order.
Yeah, it's not a novel that you have to read it in order, right?
Right.
You can skip to the ones that interest you, and each chapter is sort of self-contained.
Yeah.
So before we go on with the book and the subject, there's a couple of questions here, so I want to go through them.
Okay.
And I'm here laughing a little bit to myself because we have a question from Coach Juliet. Who's John's favorite co-host, Juliet or George?
Oh,
you don't have to answer, by the way.
But both of them are on. I see them both in the comments, so
Yes.
I have to say I can't answer that. I would say my favorite I can't answer that. I love them both. We have such a good time on Sunday. They're wonderful people.
All right. So let me address, let's see. The first one wasn't about anything yet you mentioned, but we'll be quick. You can chime in first, and then I can give my answer. Deborah Constantino is asking, what suggestions do you have for BUN level of 29? Not dehydrated, no other markers for kidney disease. What do you think?
You want me to go first? Well, I'm not a doctor like you are.
Let me. By the way, even though I am a doctor,
you're not.
This information here is for information on educational purposes only. I'm not your doctor. You're not my patient. We're not creating a patient doctor-patient relationship.
What is the normal BUN level? What should it be?
Well, 29 is pretty close to normal. Depending on the lab, 29 sometimes will be marked as normal, which give you a clue as to the importance of a 29 of BUN.
Yeah, I don't know what to say on that because I don't know.
If what you're saying is true, there's no dehydration and no other markers for kidney disease, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can tell you that the first thing you want to look at is making sure kidney function is good. You're stating that the other markers are normal. So if your kidney function is good, that's fine. People who eat a high protein diet and I'm not going to put any amounts definitions here, but maybe a reflection of the way you eat. But if your creatinine and other markers for kidney function are normal, then You might be a little bit dehydrated, even though you're making the comment not dehydrated. Maybe drinking a little bit more fluids than you are will take care of it. The other thing is a BUN test is something that changes constantly in your blood. It's going to change day to day. If you're in the hospital and you have the test done 2 or 3 times a day, it may be all different numbers. So it's not a static number, like many things in our body goes up and down. And it's a reflection of the metabolic milieu of the moment. Okay. But I don't think it is a significant number. By the way, when I'm looking at BUN and creatinine ratio, which is something that they'll give you on those results, I never look at the ratio if the BUN and creatinine are normal, and the creatinine is the most important one of the two. And there are other ways to check on kidney function. I think that's enough on that question. So someone asked, what is the treatment for that? I think they were talking about atrial fibrillation.
Oh, well, there's the medical, the prescription route, which is what I went on. That the doctor did offer me, would you like to have what's called an ablation? And an ablation is a procedure where you go into the hospital and you're anesthetized, and they go in through your groin and they come up into your heart, and they basically burn a little hole through one of the walls to go into the next chamber and to scar where the electrical signals are misfiring, which supposedly stops the misfiring. And then they pull it back out and you heal. And I researched that because I really wanted my AFib to stop. And the success rate and the recurrence was really, the success rate was low and the recurrence was super high. And I thought, I think I'll just take the medicine. It scared me, the procedure. Although I know some people who've had it and had success. But I'm glad I didn't do it, because now that I'm eating properly, I'm not in AFib anymore.
It went away.
Who
would have thought, right?
I still consider myself having, I say it's in remission, because it can pop in at any moment. It doesn't. It hasn't in over a year, but I just say I'm in remission, and I attribute it to my diet.
And I should say that Leon is one of our Kiltz Health certified coaches, the same as George and Juliet and many others that are watching here. All right. We answered this one. Well, actually, we didn't answer who's the favorite co-host, but all right. And for Amy, who came in late, what's the name of the book? I would love to buy.
It's called Beyond Oxalates. And then the subtitle is The Complete Guide to Plant Toxins. There you go.
All right. And you can go to Amazon and search Amazon by the name. And it's Kindle, available Kindle and
paperback. And now what I'm also doing is I'm my last 2 books, with this microphone here, I recorded, I made an Audible. I did the book on tape. I'm not doing it for this one, but I'm recording each chapter maybe a week or 2 apart, and I'm putting it up on my YouTube page for free for people to listen to. So the first one's already on there. You can listen to chapter 1. So you don't even have to buy the book if you don't want to. You can just listen to it.
All right. So this one's about the book. And if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat. And Bill wants to know how to dump oxalates. I guess he's asking how to get rid of them.
Good question. We all accumulate oxalates when we eat oxalate food like spinach and turmeric and almonds and dark chocolate, but it's in a lot of other food, other plants as well, but at moderate or lower levels. And And when you want to dump, that's the verb that is used to get rid of it out of the body, dumping oxalates. Your body decides when it's going to dump the oxalates. And when it reaches a point, it makes that decision. You want to dump slowly, very, very slowly, so that you don't have pain, or you don't get a kidney stone, or it doesn't come out in the wrong place in your body. And the preferred way to dump, if you've had a lot of high oxalate foods, is to back out of your oxalates. Continue to eat them, actually, but eat small little bits. And if you start getting a severe dumping episode that could land you in the hospital, start eating some more oxalates, like black tea, which is soluble oxalate. That signals the body that more is coming in, and then it slows the dumping down so it's manageable. And dumping can take as long as 10 years. It can, and it usually comes in waves. Every 3 months or so, you might go through a dumping episode. And when that time approaches, if you just know what it is, if it's really bad, start taking in a little bit of oxalate. I'm actually saying to eat some plant foods with oxalates. Yes. Sally K. Norton says to do this too, and so does Monique Attinger. You have to slow the dumping down by adding a little bit. The body sees it, and then it dumps a little slower. It's not fun. It's not fun. I was in the hospital with a severe kidney stone that I had to pass, and it was excruciating, and I don't wish that on anybody. So I learned so much about oxalates because of my horrible experience. I hope that I answered your question about dumping. We have to dump, but you want to dump slowly.
And I've heard Sally mention that you could be dumping for the rest of your life. You mentioned you're 60, I'm 66. We spend many years eating, 50 years or longer eating oxalates and accumulating. And these are crystals, right?
Yes.
So there's nothing to do to destroy the crystals, but they can accumulate in your body. And the thing is, you may go in waves the next few years eating a carnivore diet, for example, which is a very low oxalate diet, and you can still have some episodes of oxalate dumping for the rest of your life.
I want to say too that if you go carnivore and switch, you went from consuming probably a large amount of oxalates to zero. When you eat only meat, fish, eggs, and animal products, there's no oxalates. Now the body says, okay, nothing's coming in. Now we're going to get rid of all your oxalates, and you have this rush. And that's when some people end up in the hospital. That's why you have to do it slowly. You don't just take out everything fast, because that hurts. So, and then we also probably should talk about that, oxalates, they are negative and they're attracted to positives, which are calcium, magnesium. So if you're eating cheese or dairy, if you include some calcium with your food, the oxalates have something to bind to because they're attracted, and then they can come out through your bowels easier that way than getting stuck in your joints or in the nephrons of your kidney. You don't want them there.
Yeah, in the kidney, basically, many of your stones are a combination that includes oxalates.
Calcium oxalate.
So, and I know people with kidney stones where they have analyzed the stone. They determined that it is a stone that includes oxalates. And they tell the patients, eat a low oxalate diet. But I don't know how good we provide the message or how good the patients hear the message. But many times patients don't pay attention to that.
No,
and
they don't.
They continue to eat. Now, give me an example of one of the highest containing oxalate fruits, vegetables, or
Yeah, the
Foods.
one that always comes to mind is spinach,
But it's
rhubarb.
healthy.
Oh, that's what we hear. And spinach smoothies. Here's what people are doing nowadays. They're taking their juicer and they're putting the spinach leaves in there. They're juicing it. So now they're breaking up the oxalates and making it more soluble. And so it goes right into the bloodstream.
An
Anytime
oxalate
we,
juice.
oh, juicing is, we should not have juicing anything. Absolutely horrible. So yeah, spinach is the biggest offender. When you eat spinach, if you remember eating spinach, it feels like you've got this stuff on your teeth. That's the crystals, the microscopic shards of glass like crystals. Ugh. And the plants use those to attract the sunlight, right? And to attract minerals into their fibers. I mean, the plants use them. And then the little bugs that would eat it cut their little mouth open. So it's a deterrent. It's a deterrent for humans too.
All right. So tell us, let's talk about other toxins. A lot
Okay.
of people do talk about oxalates, and I'm sure many people here have enough information about oxalates. Many other people don't know anything about it. So I'm glad you're listening.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. But tell us about others, phytates, lectins, whatever else you want. Just pick one.
Okay. All right. Phytates or phytic acid binds minerals. So it'll bind zinc, it'll bind iron, it'll bind calcium, and it leads to deficiencies in your body. So you think you're getting your zinc, your iron, your calcium, but if you're eating foods with phytic acid in it, you're not. And these are found in all grains, seeds, nuts, legumes. Lectins, nasty item. These damage your gut lining and interfere with your cellular signaling. They punch these little microscopic holes in your intestines, and they're found in beans, legumes, wheat, and nightshades. I can go on to goitrogens. Goitrogens, if you've ever heard of a goiter that some people get, this big lump where their thyroid gland is, that's where that word comes from, a goiter. A goitrogen, it disrupts the thyroid function and iodine uptake, and it's found in, guess what, broccoli, kale, cabbage, all the cruciferous vegetables. So that's just a few. I think you mentioned glycoalkaloids earlier. That's a neurotoxin compound that can damage your cells, and that's in potatoes, absolutely, green ones, tomatoes, eggplant. So every single plant, every single one, there's not one that's exempt, has plant toxins. Some have multiple plant toxins.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So
then each human being is susceptible to them in a different way. Some people, it's almost killing them. They have to go carnivore or they'll die. And some people can tolerate some and they don't notice anything in their body because we're all different.
we had yesterday morning a raw vegan in our morning show.
Oh,
Morning live stream. It was interesting. You can go back and listen to it.
look at that. Yeah.
One of the things, he eats raw potatoes.
Oh, so
And
bad.
anyways, I took a little bit of a deep dive into his book and his website, and we've put something together. But the thing is, one of the things he does is he eats raw potatoes, sweet potatoes, raw everything. He doesn't cook any of his foods. And unfortunately, that is very dangerous. A lot of people do raw veganism. But you're right. All plants have one or more, because very often they don't have only one thing. And these are defense mechanisms for the plants, right? And you mentioned, you were talking right now about glycoalkaloids and potatoes, eggplants, goji berries, which is supposed to be a superfood, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how thousands of years ago, how did anyone realize
Mhm.
that you could eat roots? And potatoes are root, but in the Caribbean, we eat a bunch of different roots. I grew up eating, I know the names in Spanish mostly, but yautía, malanga, uh, definitely potatoes.
Cassava.
Yes, in Puerto
Mhm.
Rico, we call it yuca, but yes,
Yucca.
cassava.
Yeah. Yucca. Hmm.
So I imagine, there's no proof for this, but I imagine that at some point someone was hungry enough they had not been able to see an animal they could catch and kill and eat, because it's not only having the animal available, you had to hunt it, kill it, and eat it, right?
A lot of work.
they they are not easy to do that. uh how did you discover that you could eat roots? People were hungry at some point, hungry enough that they started to eat roots. And did they discover that many of these roots, most of the roots have to be cooked if you're going to eat them?
Hmm.
I wouldn't suggest you eat any, there's few exception. Uh, Carrots, you could say they're edible. Uh, when raw, I'm not advocating for that. There are anti-nutrients, but some people eat them. Uh, Potatoes is one that is very likely to make you sick. Um, so I think they discovered that they needed to eat roots and probably cook them out of necessity. They were hungry enough that they were looking for roots to see what they could eat. And through the years, they passed on to the surviving generations passed on to others that you probably needed to process this. Tell us a little bit processing the foods, because some of these plant toxins can be decreased in amount by cooking, fermenting, and other methods. By the way, not the oxalates, but some others, you can decrease the amount, like lectins. You can deactivate some and not all again, but some of them. Tell us about
Yeah,
how to.
some are heat stable. They do not break down with heat. Some are will minimize when you heat them and cook them, and some what you soak overnight, and then you have to throw that water out and rinse and soak and rinse and soak, and that minimizes some of the toxins. Fermentation, the sugars eat the uh, the toxins, and that lowers it. But none of these processes completely eliminate the plant toxins. They and our ancestors did figure this out through a terrible trial and error. They ate the raw roots and they died, or they got violently ill and sick. You're living, you learn. All right, now we're going to do this. We're going to mush it, and then we're going to put it on the over fire. We're going to cook it. Now let's eat it. Oh, it didn't have the same effect. I mean, we learned how to do that. And again, we only did that out of necessity, like you said, when nothing else was available to survive. It was survival food. Today, we don't need to eat survival food. We're not that desolate and poor that we have to eat the stuff in the ground. Um, if you choose to have it, just a big theme that I've been focusing on lately is informed consent. Know what you're eating. If you want to go ahead and have cassava, which is basically cyanide, what's it called? Glycanogenic cyanide. I'm going to see if the word is here. Cyanogenic glycosides is the word. Almonds have them. A lot of roots have cyanide in them. If you want to do that, then understand that you're doing that before you do it. because you want to be informed. That's what my book is all about. You need to know the facts before you decide to have these things. That person that you talked about that eats all the raw food, I don't think they understand the facts. Or would they purposefully be putting this stuff in their mouth, knowing that they're putting all these toxins in? And I'm wondering how they're doing. I'm wondering how long they're going to live in a healthy way by eating this way, because it's affecting them. It has to be.
I have someone here who made a comment. So let's put it up. Charlene is asking you, can you briefly describe how these anti-nutrients prevent absorption of nutrients? Thanks in advance.
How do they prevent absorption? Well, the details. They have blocking agents and chemicals that they are attracted to, like there's anions and cations, and just like in oxalates, one's a negative, one's a positive. It's attracting the calcium, for example. When you're consuming spinach, your body has the oxalates in the body, and it's attracted to the calcium and the magnesium that you're eating, and that's already in your body, and it attaches to that. So now the magnesium and the calcium is not going into your body, nourishing you with the proper minerals. It's attaching to the oxalate, and now you're deficient. And that's how a lot of these anti-nutrients, these toxins work, it's almost like the magnetic theory. They're charged and they're attracted to certain minerals. Minerals are metals. And iron is very important. We have to have iron. And iron, obviously, it's a metal. It gets attracted to these toxins. And now you're not absorbing the iron and you're deficient. And that's how these things affect your body. People don't realize it unless they get a blood test that they're deficient, or other terrible side effects that might happen to them.
Phytic acid specifically, which is an acid, therefore the name, right?
Right.
It can bind. What it happens is in the gut. This doesn't happen inside your body once it's absorbed. In the gut, it binds the calcium, zinc, iron, okay? Because they have opposite charges.
Exactly.
And like you mentioned, it is all energy, positive and negative. Many of our body's reactions work that way. So it physically binds that mineral and does not release it. Therefore, it continues in your gut and it goes out. So you think you're having enough iron from the plants, but you're not. You have very little absorption from many of these high iron containing plants. You think you're having enough, but you're not. The best bioavailable iron that you can have is heme iron, and that's only found in animal sources.
In meat, yes. Also, phytic acid interacts with digestive enzymes and digestive proteins, and it inhibits them and makes it so they're not being uptake properly in the body. So there's different pathways that your body is not receiving the minerals or the vitamins sometimes.
All righty. So let me go through my questions here. Again, where can they find the book?
Amazon.
All right. That one is very easy. Everybody knows.
Thanks for asking.
Now, when you were growing up, and I know our parents meant well, but you had to eat your greens, right? Your vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us what you ate when you were growing up. What foods or vegetables were more often in your plate? By the way, vegetables and fruits, and I want to mention that I did ask you about which vegetables and fruit. I was hoping you answer with this one also. Star fruit. I grew up seeking star fruit because it didn't grow in many places in Puerto Rico. We had to go to an experimental uh, park or station because they had trees, and so I didn't have it often. But star fruit has so many oxalates that you can go into acute renal failure by eating a few of those star fruits. Does it happen frequently? No. We do have a tolerance to some of these poisons. The poison is in the dose, they say. Now there are some poisons that you cannot tolerate even in small doses, right? As cocaine, heroin, and uh, others. But yeah, star fruit in Puerto Rico, they call it carambola.
Carambola.
Yeah. So I asked you, what was a frequent food as you were growing up that now looking back, maybe it had multiple plant toxins?
Yeah, I was like many kids, I was told, eat your vegetables. Eat. I hated vegetables as a child. All green I hated them all, every single one of them. And when I was a kid growing up in the 60s and early 70s, a lot of it came out of a can. So the spinach was that dark, slimy, wet stuff. Green beans were out of the can. Some vegetables were fresh, but most of it was canned or frozen. And I hated vegetables. So my childhood gut instincts for humanity were right. As an adult, I started eating broccoli, and I did never like cauliflower. I would have green beans, and what else did I eat? Carrots, peas, and I never liked them, but I ate them as an adult, because I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do. Eat your vegetables. And I was giving myself the plant toxins that are in those plants. I was. Fruits are different. They're high in sugar, fructose and glucose and sucrose, and they also have plant toxins, especially if you're eating them when they weren't picked ripe, and then they ripen on the way. And I ate a ton of fruit. Loved my fruit, and of course, like star fruit, I had a fruit with a lot of oxalates in them as well. Chia seeds, I did a ton of chia seeds over the years, realizing later that they were high in oxalate. Who knew? It's just, that's why we need the knowledge. If we're informed, that makes all the difference. And the one thing, Dr. Nelson, that just gets stuck under my craw, that I get angry about so much, is I will read a post from somebody on Facebook or somewhere touting the benefit of this wonderful plant. And they list all the great things the plant does. And then here's how you can buy it. And they never mention the negative side. They do not include the toxins that are in that plant. And that just infuriates me, because that's not all of the information. We need informed consent. When you know all by that special berry or whatever.
Yeah, over the past 66 years, I'm mentioning that because I'm 66, I've seen so many superfruits, right?
Right.
And superfoods. And, last few years, we've discovered kale. I don't know
Oh.
what. Have you actually tasted kale without adding?
Yes. I used to make a salad that I took to work every day with spinach and kale and my own vinaigrette, healthy dressing, thinking I was giving myself all this iron and vitamins and minerals. Blech. Terrible. You know what kale's mostly used for? It's used to dress the salad bar. You put it on the outside of the salad bar in the ice to make it look
It's a
pretty.
garnish.
Yeah. Knowledge, man. Knowledge is power. We need to get the message out of what these plants contain, and then you won't look at them the same way. If I go out to dinner with somebody and they get a side of spinach, I cringe. I can't keep I have to tell them what they're eating, and they don't want to hear it.
Sometimes when you're at the moment eating with other people,
Oh,
might not be the best time to
I
point
know.
out those things. What was there any vegetable or fruit that was hard for you to give up?
No, because I hated all vegetables. Fruit, I loved red raspberries and black raspberries, which are high or moderate in oxalates. They are. I just like the berries. But again, it wasn't that hard to give up. Once I got off of sugar, the sweet urge totally disappeared from my life. So I have no craving for any vegetable or fruit. No craving for bread. I haven't had bread in 7 years.
Nuts, seeds?
Now, nuts and seeds I loved, and I love them a little too much because, when they're already shelled, you eat too many too fast. I loved peely nuts, which I used to buy from the company, a peely company, and they were the best nut. They were high in magnesium and they were low in other things, but they also had the anti-nutrients in it. But I didn't know that yet. All right. I loved almonds and pecans and walnuts, and I love pistachio nuts, high in sugar. So I'm off all the nuts and all the seeds. I won't touch them. The nuts and seeds are higher in these plant toxins because they are the babies of the plants. And they're made that way so that they're protecting the babies of the plants. Those seeds are they're richer in the anti-nutrients. Yeah, you want to stay away from nuts and seeds. I say completely. That's my advice.
I'm gonna label Terry here as a super fan because she says I ordered John's book and I have his other 2 titles.
Oh wow, thank you, Terry. Hope I don't disappoint you there.
All righty. So just
Black
a
pepper.
reminder to people to look at KiltzMeetup.com. There you find where we're going to be in the next several weeks. There are some meetups there already for months away. So you can find there. And let's see. And you can go to Amazon and look for his book and his YouTube and Instagram channels, at least, are Carnivore Teacher Alpha, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I think this is
That's my page. Yeah.
That looks like Instagram page. And I did have your YouTube page up, but I can't remember where it is right now.
You got too many tabs open there, Dr. Nelson.
Yes. All right. So do you have any last words for our audience, many of whom could be carnivore curious people? I'm sorry if we didn't get to your questions. There were questions there about weight loss. Carnivore diet is not a diet specifically for weight loss. I call it a health optimization diet is what I call it.
And weight loss is a side effect of good health. If you have to lose weight, it just comes off while everything else in your body heals. My last thoughts would be an informed consumer. Learn, grow, get on YouTube, get on the internet and learn what you're eating, how you're eating. Observe your body and listen to your body's signals and adjust because we're all different. And never stop learning. Be informed. Stay curious.
Thank you very much. You have a good day. And at 5:30 in the community, we have a Zoom call. Okay.
Great.
Have a great day. Eat steak.